Hello and welcome back. Um, just following on from my introductory video with this, I'd like to talk about something much more, I think, relatable. My last video, I talked very broadly and generally about um, just the decline of Western civilization, its decay, and so on, all the privations that entail. Um, and I talked kind of in sort of broad terms about being able to marry sort of highfalutin concepts, you know, and marrying them with a kind of much more kind of pragmatic approach. Um, but I feel like the best way of getting started, for you, the viewer watching, or anybody for that matter, is it's something pragmatic, right? It's something that you can actually physically do yourself without getting kind of lost in theory or politics. It's just you can do in your life to make it better in a way that sort of moves tangentially to the system, you know, an alternative for yourself. I feel like that's probably the most immediate thing you can do is just what can you practically do, right? Um, so effectively shifting, let's shift the perspective from the kind of the macrocosmic to the micro, right? Um, the easiest way out of the matrix is in the like the pragma. It's the immediate. It's you have to take personal responsibility effectively, right? And just to focus in on someone that's effectively doing this, um, and I think the most immediate and viable way forward for most people, uh, and the example is more pressing, I think, for those who live in the UK, is a YouTuber called the Woodlander. Who's the Woodlander? He's an off-grid YouTuber based in the UK. Um, I think interesting specifically because UK off-gridders are actually at least seemingly quite rare, difficult to find for lots of reasons. I mean, UK building and planning laws are, quite expansive. Uh, you've got just the general kind of petty NIMBYist culture, right? I mean, look at the difficulties of, like Roma gypsies, being moved around from site to site and so on. It's, you know, trying to get planning, laws, you know, with all that kind of thing, get your own build. It's almost impossible. Um, although saying that it's not impossible, and this is where I come in with the Woodlander and what he's done to make a life for himself off grid in the UK. Um, just a bit of a backstory for him. He started off slow. I think first he withdrew his money uh, from the banks because he didn't want to contribute into a system that effectively hated him, and just doesn't take care of its own people. So withdrew his money from the banks and saved hard cash over a long time. And with that money, over a long period of saving, bought land and slowly um, uh, built his home. Um, didn't require certification. Um, Specific methodology used the 4 year rule, which effectively allows you to build your own property, your own home, and as long as nobody takes umbrage or has any complaint with it, then the state effectively can't take it down. You don't require certification for it, just a kind of record that you've lived there, documentation, and so on. And it's legal; they can't take it down, right? Although I don't know if it's the 4 year rule anymore. I think it might have been recently extended to 10 due to the recent radical, progressive, conservative UK government, more radical than any Labour left wing government ever has been. Um, it's unbelievable. Uh, and it's amazing that traditionally minded people still vote for the Conservatives, but go figure. Uh, Not to get too much off track with the Conservatives, you can build your own property. You can effectively Minecraft your own property, right? You can build it into existence yourself, just like in Minecraft, which is it's pretty cool, right? Um, what's interesting about the Woodlander specifically, and I think very rare, is that he comes at it from a kind of a dissident perspective, an alternative perspective. He's not, by his own words, just some hippie, right? Some lefty hippie that's all flowers and rainbows. He's not about that. He's come out. He's coming at it from a genuinely dissident perspective as an outsider to the system that hates him, doesn't like him, just English people generally. He just happens to recognise it, um, and comes at it from this rare perspective, and he comes at it from a kind of a spiritually traditional, a traditionalist kind of English perspective, which is really refreshing. Um, it's kind of like an apolitical answer to the alternative question. After the breakup of the online right post Siebel in America, it's sustainable, long term, quintessentially English, um, and a note of eccentricity, but with a kind of freedom, like a freedom oriented UK oriented outlook, and it's quite unique in that sense. For me, this apolitia, this this spiritually kind of traditional worldview is the pragma I talked about earlier. It's the immediate, the present that you can actually engage with and come to terms with and forge for yourself an alternative path that the system can't get to grasps with, right? Um, it's the first kind of real step towards a genuine and authentic alternative for, well, for England, for the English, for the Scottish, for the Welsh. If you're in America, you know, it's for you as well. It's for anybody in the West that is um, effectively oppressed by a system that hates them. Like, you know, specifically, the people who've been here for a long time, right? Um, and it's great because you don't need all the kind of the theory. You don't need all the answers to the decline of Western civilization, right? You can just go about it just a workmanlike manner, right? You can take personal responsibility for it yourself, um, and get started on your own kind of symbolic quest for freedom. Um, I say by yourself, but that wouldn't really be accurate because there are quite a few people already doing this kind of thing. They're going out in the woods, effectively buying land and getting in groups and quietly going about the business of effectively acquiring our own land back, which is it's encouraging. It's an answer to the kind of political question, something that, for example, with nationalism, English nationalism, it's always just fallen down and been smashed by the state. Well, this is an apolitical way to engage positively in a way that you can kind of thrive, and the people that you do it with, if you network and so on, that they can thrive as well outside of the system as much as possible. And just following on from that specifically, and as to the title of this video, the Woodlander Initiative, it's something that the Woodlander effectively created uh, as a way for people to of a like mind to get together and start to kind of pull resources, a little bit of money, and buy land with it. Something that it's something you can do and you can own and you can take part in. It's and I quite like it because it effectively acts as a kind of last redoubt. It's almost like Helm's Deep. It's somewhere you can go. It's like a real place that you and people, like-minded people, can go, get together and talk about things, and especially if things get rough, there's somewhere to go. Um, so it's it's a great start for things, and of course it's a way of preserving our heritage, not just symbolically but practically, right? The right people own it, not the banks, not corporations, faceless entities that are using it for their own nefarious purposes. It's for us, the people, right? There's it's for us to thrive in and have a future in our own lands. Whether you do it with other people or just in your own, by yourself, maybe with family, go out and buy land and quietly build your own kind of off-grid home and get it set up. It's a way for us to thrive, kind of like, funnily enough, like in IRL. It's like IRL Minecraft, effectively, right? It's which is cool because potentially younger generations of people, that's a way to get them involved in it, right? It's like a game they played when they were kids, right? And especially Zoomers feel lost in an ever crazier world. This is something that, oh look, you played something like this as a kid, right? You can literally in real life you can build your own home, and with people, like, you see them as villagers, right? People of a like mind, and you can have a community, right? And you have a future, effectively. So, um, and of course, you avoid trouble by falling you know into politics. Not saying that you shouldn't, but you know a lot of people, especially dissidents, get they're oppressed effectively if they voice their views. You have to look at like the recent UK riots. People that naughty words got in trouble with the police and went to jail. Someone recently, I think Peter Lynch, I think his name was, died in prison because of it, because he said naughty words. But this is a way that is apolitical, and you can just quietly go about your way and just positive and doesn't like get on the wrong side of the wrong people. So anyway, it's a little vignette just to get you thinking. Just it's a very pragmatic solution that anyone can do of any age, and yeah, all it takes is just a bit of initiative. So if you've not seen the Woodlanders videos, I highly recommend you watch them. I'll find a way to tag him down below in the description. Highly recommend all his videos. Lots of them just kind of going over things and explaining how he does it. Um, and yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.